The world is a place of stark contrasts. Skyscrapers pierce the clouds, monuments to wealth. Yet just blocks away, poverty casts a long shadow. Economic disparity is a reality. It's about real lives and futures. The divide continues to widen. The time has come to confront this challenge. We must strive for a world where everyone can thrive. Economic inequality is more than just a financial disparity. It's a multi-dimensional issue that permeates every aspect of human existence. It affects not only access to material resources, but also shapes opportunities, aspirations, and life outcomes. It's about the child who goes to bed hungry, unable to concentrate in school, while their affluent peers enjoy nutritious meals and access to the best education. It's about the family forced to choose between healthcare and putting food on the table, while others have access to the finest medical care. This disparity creates a vicious cycle where poverty begets poverty and privilege begets privilege. Children born into disadvantaged circumstances face an uphill battle from the start, their life chances severely limited by factors beyond their control. This is not to say that individual initiative and hard work are irrelevant. Rather, it acknowledges the systemic barriers that prevent millions from achieving their full potential. It's about recognizing that talent and ambition are evenly distributed across society, but opportunity is not. We need to move beyond simplistic narratives that blame the poor for their circumstances and instead focus on dismantling the structures that perpetuate inequality. This requires a fundamental shift in perspective, one that recognizes the interconnectedness of our fates. We must acknowledge that a society that leaves millions behind is not only morally bankrupt, but also economically unsustainable. The true measure of a just and prosperous society lies not in the wealth of the few, but in the well-being of all. The urgency to address economic inequality cannot be overstated. The gap between the rich and the poor is widening at an alarming rate. This is not a problem confined to developing nations, it's a global crisis. The statistics paint a grim picture. The richest 1% owns more than half of the world's wealth. This disparity is morally reprehensible and economically unsustainable. Extreme inequality leads to social unrest and political instability. We need to act now with urgency and determination to bridge the gap. This is not an impossible task. What we need now is the political will and collective action to make it happen. And economic inequality refers to the uneven distribution of wealth, income, and resources within a society. It's about unequal access to opportunities and resources. Imagine a society as a ladder of opportunity. Ideally, everyone would have a fair chance to climb that ladder. Economic inequality warps this ladder, making it steeper for some. Those born into privilege often start at the top. Hard work and talent are essential, but when access to quality education and healthcare is determined by wealth, individual effort alone is not enough. This disparity in opportunity is at the heart of economic inequality. To truly grasp the magnitude of economic inequality, we must look at the bigger picture, the global distribution of wealth. The numbers are staggering. The richest 1% of the global population now owns more wealth than the bottom 99% combined. This means that a select few, a minuscule fraction of the world's population, hold more wealth than billions of people combined. This concentration of wealth at the very top is not a new phenomenon, but it has been exacerbated in recent decades by globalization, technological advancements, and policy choices that favor the wealthy. While these forces have undoubtedly generated wealth, the benefits have not been shared equitably. Instead, we've witnessed a growing divide between the haves and the have-nots, both within and across countries. This global wealth gap has profound implications for human progress. It fuels poverty, undermines economic growth, and exacerbates social and political instability. When a small elite holds a disproportionate share of wealth, it can distort political systems, influence policy decisions in their favor, and create a system that reinforces their own privilege. This concentration of power and resources at the top creates a vicious cycle. As the wealthy become more influential, they can shape policies that further entrench their advantage, making it even harder for those at the bottom to get ahead. Breaking this cycle requires a fundamental shift in how we approach economic policy, one that prioritizes inclusive growth and shared prosperity over the accumulation of wealth in the hands of a few. Economic inequality is not just about income disparity, it's about the unequal distribution of opportunities and life chances. It impacts education, healthcare, housing, and social mobility. Children born into poverty are less likely to have access to quality education. They are more likely to experience food insecurity. They are more likely to live in neighborhoods exposed to environmental hazards. This unequal access to opportunity creates a vicious cycle. Economic inequality also has profound implications for health. People living in poverty experience higher rates of chronic diseases. This health gap reflects systemic inequalities. Economic inequality erodes social trust and fuels political polarization. It breeds resentment and a sense of hopelessness. This erosion of social cohesion threatens societal stability. Addressing economic inequality requires a multifaceted approach. It demands investing in human capital and ensuring fair chances for all. Education is often hailed as the great equalizer, the key to unlocking opportunity and achieving upward mobility. However, when access to quality education is itself unequal, it becomes a powerful driver of economic disparity. Children from affluent families often attend well-funded schools with experienced teachers, state-of-the-art facilities, and a wide range of extracurricular activities. These advantages provide them with a strong foundation for success, setting them on a path toward higher education and high-paying careers. In contrast, children from low-income families often attend under-resourced schools with larger class sizes, fewer qualified teachers, and limited access to enrichment programs. This disparity in the educational opportunities perpetuates a cycle of inequality, where those born into privilege are more likely to succeed, while those born into poverty face significant barriers to achieving their full potential. Furthermore, the rising cost of higher education exacerbates this divide. College tuition has skyrocketed in recent decades, making it increasingly difficult for students from low-income families to afford a college degree. This puts them at a significant disadvantage in the job market, where a college degree is often a prerequisite for well-paying jobs. The result is a widening gap between those with a college education, who are more likely to earn higher incomes and accumulate wealth, and those without a college degree, who are more likely to struggle financially. Addressing the education divide is essential to breaking the cycle of poverty and creating a more equitable society. This requires a commitment to investing in early childhood education, ensuring equitable funding for schools, making college more affordable, and providing opportunities for lifelong learning. Tax policies shape the distribution of wealth and income in society. Progressive taxation reduces inequality and funds public services. It supports education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Recently, many countries have shifted to less progressive tax systems. This benefits the wealthy, increasing income inequality. Tax havens allow the wealthy to avoid taxes, depriving governments of revenue. Addressing tax havens and advocating for progressive policies is essential. Fair tax policies promote a just and equitable society. Technological advancements drive economic growth and societal progress. However, they can widen the gap between the rich and the poor. Automation increases productivity but displaces workers. This leads to higher unemployment and stagnant wages. The digital economy creates opportunities but also a winner-take-all dynamic. Tech giants amass wealth, raising privacy and data security concerns. Addressing these challenges requires investment in skills and stronger social safety nets. Globalization has driven economic growth and lifted millions out of poverty, but it has also created winners and losers, contributing to rising inequality. Companies often relocate to countries with lower wages, leading to job losses in developed nations. Multinational corporations can negotiate favorable tax and labor standards, leading to a race to the bottom. Governments must invest in education and training to help workers adapt. Trade agreements should include strong labor and environmental standards. International cooperation is needed to address tax havens and corporate tax avoidance. Economic inequality frays the bonds that hold communities together. The gap between rich and poor breeds resentment and distrust. Affluent individuals may remain oblivious to the struggles of the less fortunate. Disadvantaged communities face underfunded public services and limited opportunities. The unraveling social fabric fosters division and social unrest. People feeling left behind are more susceptible to messages of fear and anger. Economic inequality erodes trust in institutions and fellow citizens. Disillusionment leads to declining voter turnout and political apathy. Low trust in government empowers those benefiting from the status quo. Economic disparity fuels social unrest and political instability. Inequality creates environments where crime is more likely to flourish. Trust erosion extends to neighbors and colleagues, increasing social isolation. Unchecked economic inequality impacts health, well-being, and prosperity. Higher inequality correlates with poorer health outcomes and lower life expectancies. Inequality creates a social gradient in health, affecting even those not in poverty. Economic disparity is linked to higher crime rates and social unrest. Inequality undermines economic growth by depressing consumer demand. High inequality leads to political instability, discouraging investment. Bridging economic inequality requires a shift in perspective. It's about creating an economy where everyone can contribute and share in prosperity. Investing in human capital strengthens communities and empowers individuals. Businesses should thrive without compromising workers' rights or sustainability. A culture of shared responsibility ensures everyone contributes fairly. Addressing inequality is both a moral and economic imperative. Education is key to unlocking opportunity and breaking the cycle of poverty. Early childhood education provides a strong foundation for learning. Access to quality, K-12 education must be equitable for all students. Addressing funding disparities between school districts is crucial. Higher education should be affordable and accessible to all. Expanding need-based financial aid and addressing student loan debt are essential. Progressive taxation addresses economic inequality effectively. Those who earn more should pay a higher percentage of their income in taxes. Progressive taxes fund essential public services that benefit everyone. Recent tax cuts for the wealthy have exacerbated income inequality. Reversing this trend requires more progressive tax policies. Ensuring everyone contributes fairly strengthens society as a whole. Social programs create a more just and equitable society. They provide a safety net for basic necessities like food, shelter, and healthcare. Social programs can empower individuals to improve their skills and earning potential. Programs should be designed with dignity and respect for beneficiaries. Challenging the stigma associated with social assistance is crucial. Reframing social programs fosters a compassionate and supportive society. Individuals can be agents of change in addressing economic inequality. Understanding the complexities of inequality and engaging in informed dialogue is key. Consumer choices can support businesses with fair and sustainable practices. Investing in community banks supports local economies. Volunteering with organizations addressing poverty and inequality amplifies impact. Collective action builds solidarity and fosters a sense of shared purpose. The power of community. Individual actions are most effective when undertaken collectively. Communities create change, build bridges, and foster shared prosperity. Supporting local businesses fosters economic empowerment. Spending at local businesses invests in community well-being. Local businesses hire locally, pay fair wages, and reinvest profits. Promoting worker cooperatives strengthens communities. These models prioritize democratic decision-making and shared ownership. Supporting these businesses creates a more equitable economy. Communities can advocate for economic justice policies. Organizing and mobilizing can hold officials accountable and demand progressive policies. Embracing solidarity and interconnectedness builds a just society. Together, we can create a future where everyone thrives. Section 1. A call to action. Shaping a more equitable future. The journey towards a more equitable world where the gap between the rich and the poor is significantly narrowed is not a passive endeavor. It demands active engagement, unwavering commitment, and a collective resolve to challenge the status quo and build a future where prosperity is shared and opportunity is within everyone's reach. It's a call to action for individuals, communities, and institutions to recognize their role in shaping a more just and equitable society. We must move beyond simply acknowledging the problem of economic inequality and commit to concrete actions that address its root causes. This requires a multifaceted approach that encompasses policy reforms, individual choices, and community-driven initiatives. Governments must enact policies that promote equitable economic growth, such as progressive taxation, robust social safety nets, and investments in education, healthcare, and affordable housing. These policies must be designed to empower individuals, not trap them in cycles of dependence. However, the responsibility does not rest solely on the shoulders of policymakers. Each of us has a role to play in creating a more just and equitable world. We can choose to support businesses that prioritize fair wages and ethical practices. We can volunteer our time and resources to organizations working to alleviate poverty and empower marginalized communities. We can educate ourselves about the complexities of economic inequality and engage in constructive dialogue to raise awareness and challenge misconceptions. The enduring power of hope. The challenges posed by economic inequality are significant. The human capacity for empathy and innovation is boundless. Societies overcome obstacles when united by a common purpose. The fight for economic justice is a marathon. We must never succumb to cynicism or despair. Hope, fueled by belief in human dignity, lights our path. In adversity, the human spirit shines brightest.